up, everyone? Welcome back to not just another episode of Kinda Different, the season finale of season 6 of Kinda Different. Yeah. I am Dr. Matt Allen, the CEO and co-founder of Different Kind, and your host for Kinda Different. And on this podcast, we normally talk about things like innovation in dental care. We learn some amazing things about the people we chat with, and we talk about how we can make dental care more human. I think we'll touch on some of those things today. But today is a super special episode. I have with me Nicole Toudouze, the founder of Transcendental, your favorite, or if it's not your favorite, should be your favorite dental marketing agency down in San Antonio. And we have a very special episode today where we're just going to walk through some hot marketing takes, how they impact your practice, your group. And there's going to be no fluff, no safe answers, just honesty about what's working, what's not working, what questions you might have. Nicole, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you're ready to make some people maybe not feel uncomfortable, but maybe like push the boundaries a little here. Thanks so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about you, Transcendental, and then we're going to dive in.
Yeah, Matt, when it comes to making people uncomfortable, don't threaten me with a good time, right? I'm here. So I am ready to dive in. I'm so excited that we're finally doing this. You and I have been, good partners for a while now. I just totally admire you, and I'm thrilled to be here.
Awesome. But yeah, tell us a little bit more just about you and
Yeah.
Transcendental. Give us a little bit of background.
Absolutely. So I'm Nicole. I'm the CEO and founder of Transcendental. We are a full service strategic marketing agency that specializes in building and growing dental practices. I've been in the dental space for about 14 years now. I love it. I'm never leaving. And I just absolutely, am passionate about growing practices and helping practice owners and groups, achieve their business objectives.
Awesome. Well, that's a great place for us to start with our hot takes then. So I'm guessing that kind of in this first segment, we're going to talk a little bit about why practices don't grow like they think they do or they think they should be. And so first hot take here that I'll give you to kind of respond to, I was thinking about this whole set, like all of these, and I was like, maybe we should do a draft. Like we have all 10 of them. We like draft which ones we think are the most important, but we're just going to go through. I think it'll be fun this way too. I didn't want to confuse too many different types of podcasts, So first hot take here, new patients are overrated. The real problem is retention.
Yep.
What do you think?
I do think there's a retention problem. I don't think a lot of practices pay attention to what we call the leaky bucket or people walking out the back door, so to speak. So what that recare rate looks like, whether or not their team is following up with missed appointments, getting people back in the door, sort of marketing funnel, right? From external to internal marketing is so important. When you have people that are loyal to the practice, they are more likely to then refer, right? And that's where word of mouth comes in. So having patients that return, that are loyal, that leave reviews, that refer to other patients, that's how you can grow your practice organically. And so not paying attention to the people walking out the back door is a critical mistake that I see a lot of practices make. And then they want to throw money at marketing, not even paying attention to the fact that they're losing the patients they already have. And it's like, if you're not fixing the problems internally, if you're not addressing the existing patient concerns, those new patients aren't going to end up turning profit for you when they come in the door because they're going to end up leaving as well. So it's an important topic.
Totally. I mean, I feel like, there's so much focus on that, like, 30 new patients a month, 50 new patients, whatever it is, right? Like we see that all the time when practices are getting sold, all those different pieces, right? But no practice is out there being like, two patients leave us a month, right? Like, what is your attrition? And certainly, I think that it's impossible to fill a leaky bucket, right? If you just keep having water flow out the bottom. And so, yeah, we'll talk more about that ops problem later and throwing money at, problems in that. But I think that, to me, this is one of those things where, sure, it feels great to have a new patient, but especially as a clinician, right? Those are really hard appointments. It's hard to like meet somebody new, show up and like be super present and, do all the things that you have to do in a new patient appointment that are different. And obviously there are pluses to that. And if you have patients that trust you, know you care about, right? You have that relationship. You don't have to build that trust. It's already there. And oftentimes, when we think about like, hey, what does that mean for their treatment, right? They might still have a lot of treatment that needs to be done, especially over the course of time, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I think, that's a good perspective on the case acceptance component in terms of when you bring a new patient in, it's a lot of effort for very little value in the first year. And so being able to focus on building relationships and rapport with the patients that you do have and potentially getting more, share of wallet and lift off those existing patients.
Totally. Okay, so I know you're passionate about this hot take. Hot take number 2 here. Most practices cannot articulate why a patient should choose them. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting because anytime a new practice onboards with us, we do this onboarding survey where we really try to draw these answers out of them. It's like, what are your value props? What are your KSPs? What makes you different? Why should people choose you instead of the practice next door? And they have the hardest time articulating it. They just leave it blank. And if they do say something, it's typically, we're comfortable, we're convenient. We have free parking, things like that. And it's like, that's not what appeals to the patients. And so being able to, like, if you don't understand your value, the patient sure as hell isn't going to understand your value. And so
Mhm.
it's really important that you truly, and for me, this comes down like, this is like a trickle down effect, right? Like, if I know what's important to me as an owner, my team is going to feel that. My
Yeah.
clients are going to feel that. My partners are going to feel that. And you could go, right, talk to your clients about this is why I recommend Transcendental. This is why I think they're the best, right?
Yep.
And so it's the same thing for dental practices. You have to be able to articulate to the community and to prospective patients on why you are the practice for them. Beyond that, understanding who is your patient avatar so that not only is that pitch received, but it actually resonates with that prospective patient because it matches their need state and who they are as a person. Yeah.
Totally. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Or this a little bit more in a minute, but I feel like one of the issues here is just the general inability for a lot of folks to get out of their own head, right? It's to, like, actually put themselves in the shoes of the patient. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But you mentioned kind of this idea of defining your uniqueness and being able to, like, really think about that. Is there anything that
Mhm.
you have folks do, or is there any way that you kind of go about that that, like, helps people? Like, if they're like, hey, yeah, I look at my website right now and it feels like, I see, like, we use advanced technology. Well, like, what practice doesn't at this point,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah, to your point, like, free parking, who cares, right? Like, that's $5 on, like, a really large, healthcare visit, right? Like, no one really cares about that at the
Yeah.
end of the day. So what is one kind of simple thing that folks could do to actually help them think about what does make them different or how they do stand out?
I think this exercise is best approached when you really put yourself in the shoes of the patient and try to figure out what are some of the barriers that prevent them from wanting to see a dentist, any dentist, not just you. And what do you do to sort of accommodate some of those concerns, whether that be dental anxiety, dental fears, or just overall like people want to avoid the dentist at all costs. So, what do you do to really address some of those things? And I think a lot of the things we see in our practices, right? Like the noise canceling headphones,
Yeah.
TV streaming so that they can distract themselves and show that they like really personalizing the appointment to be more of an experience for them
Yeah.
versus an appointment, a clinical appointment, so that it feels more like a home environment. And so I think it really starts with the kind of experience that you're creating within the practice and really end to end from the patient walking through the door to the time that they leave. What are the little fine details that you're putting in place that make them feel comfortable, welcome, and at ease? And so, whether that be music, noise canceling headphones, blankets, I see massage chairs now, all those sort of bells and whistles, practice owners don't necessarily want to invest in those things, but it really goes a long way in winning the patient over. So, comfort in general, but don't just say we're comfortable. Why are you comfortable?
Mm.
Right?
Got it.
Do you offer conscious sedation, IV sedation, things like that to help with anxiety? What do you do to address financial concerns? And, so that because there is, the stigma that dentistry is expensive and people are going to assume that. And so being able to say right out the gate up front when they're considering you, we have all these options. Don't worry about it. We got you covered. And then things like a lot of my practices on the first appointment, they'll spend like an hour in a new patient exam
Mhm.
just to get to know the patient and
Yep.
personalize the treatment plan. And I think that's a value prop. Also flexible hours and things like
Mhm.
that. And yes, credentials matter, but really kind of focusing in on what your expertise is, right? Transcendental's expertise is growing practices, new patient acquisition, and branding. A dental practice, maybe you can hang your hat on, maybe you're minimally invasive, right? Maybe you're
Yep.
holistic. Maybe
Yep.
you can hang your hat on being highly aesthetic and cosmetic. Maybe you
Mhm.
can hang your hat on changing lives with smile makeovers. Maybe you can hang your hat on being a diamond provider of Invisalign, right? There are sort of sort of kind of claims to fame that you
Yep.
can position yourself in the market so everybody knows that you're the go-to person for that particular procedure.
Yeah. Totally. I love all of that. I think one of the things that I would often start appointments with when I was practicing was hey, this might feel a little different today, and here's why. Right. And so I would kind of like call it out, right? Of like, here's what we're going to do. And a lot of that for me was like, hey, we're going to spend time talking about your goals and, kind of spending more time with the patient, right? Like really thinking about that and kind of, but to your point of, what are the things that people typically, whether that's anxiety, whether
Mhm.
that's wait time, whether that's whatever it might be, financial concerns, what are the things that go with the typical bad dental experience, right? Or that the experience that they might have, and how
Mhm.
might you be creating different points along the experience to say, hey, this feels different, so that when a patient's like, I couldn't even articulate that, but it was just way better, right? Because it was like, wow, maybe they had, some kind of like weight system, like just not
Yeah.
waiting is better, but like if you do have to wait, like, hey, this provider is running on time, you're going to be back in your chair, you're not going
You're
to
not.
wait an hour, whatever it might be. And so I think that is something that can really help people articulate like why and how they're different, when it's like, what are those typical things that people typically associate with bad dental experiences, or just kind of crummy or run of the mill dental experiences, and how can you be better than those things?
One of the things we do too is when a provider or an owner or, like a regional manager, if it's a group or whatever, when they can't articulate what makes the dentistry different, we'll go read the Google reviews.
Mm,
We can understand from the patient perspective what they think. And patients love, and I interview patients all the time for our videos too, so I get a lot of perspective from there. Patients love when they go into an operatory and it's like, welcome, Nicole, on the
mm.
screen.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of the feedback I get in these interviews is, I don't feel like a number here.
Mm-hmm.
My name. They stand up and they smile at me when I walk in the door. They say my name. They welcome me. When I get into the chair, they know the kind of music I like. They have my show on. It says my name. It welcomes me. And all that happens before you even get chairside. You'd have to like really screw it up to go south at that point.
Yeah.
Just by setting that preface of like, we truly, truly see you, care, and want you here. And
Yeah.
you're not just any other patient, right? We want you in our practice. So
Yep.
going that extra mile to humanize, which is a lot of what you do, humanize
Yep.
dentistry and humanize the experience and make them feel seen and valued. It's really kind of what it comes down to.
Totally. Love it. All right. Hot take number 3. Marketing without business goals is just expensive noise.
Yeah. People love to market without understanding why they're doing it. I love to have that conversation. I'm like, when we
I
talk
feel
about
like this is just like people not understanding marketing in general, right? So maybe you could like help us understand that too. But like, yeah, I
yeah.
totally agree with you,
So
obviously.
marketing is one solution that you can reach for when you have challenges or problems or goals in your business, right?
Mm,
But it's not always the answer. So we started this by talking about recare and leaky buckets and all of that. And it's like, marketing's not going to fix that for you,
yeah.
right? So marketing isn't always the answer. So it's
Mm.
first really important to make sure that marketing is even the solution to the problem you're trying to solve or what it is you're trying to achieve.
And to be clear, you're talking about external marketing here now at this point, like reaching outside, because I think a lot of what we were just talking about is kind of internal marketing,
Right.
right? But then we're talking about external marketing here.
Yeah. So if you're deciding to do some patient acquisition, for
Mm.
example, making sure that external marketing is the solution for whatever it is you're trying to achieve. And I think a lot of people, when they come to me, I'll be like, okay, why are you reaching out? And they don't really understand why, other than they feel like maybe they're supposed to. Right? Or like revenues down or whatever. But, you know, like we were just discussing, that could be any other issue. It could be attrition, it could be churn, it could be maybe case presentation, it could be a lot of different issues going on within the practice that marketing may not be the right solution. So I think the first step is really truly understanding what the problems are and whether or not marketing is the actual, productive solution for that. And then say you determine it is. I think some of the milestones I typically coach on what are triggers for an external marketing program. It's going to be adding an associate, expanding
Mm,
hours, adding a location, starting a
mm,
new practice, getting a new piece of technology, rolling out a new procedure. It could be equipping more ops. Like there's a lot of different triggers for that, or maybe you just want to grow, right? So it just depends. But the marketing strategy should look different for every single one of those things I mentioned. And that's where people really get lost because they're like, all right, I've got, like they think when you see in these dental groups and you see people posting, do Google ads work for you? Does direct mail work for you? Does social media work for you? Am I doing this right? It's like, but your problem could be very, very different from everyone who just answered on your post. And what worked for them may not solve your specific problem. And so being able to say, here's the problem I'm trying to solve, or here's what I'm trying to achieve, and then leaving it to an expert, whether that's me or my team or another team, but leaving it to the experts to be able to say, you know what, for this problem, this is typically the best solution, data backed, right? So I think that's an exercise a lot of people just skip over
Yeah.
all of that. And that's really the marketing development plan that I preach about. And I
Yeah.
have since the day I got in this industry is like, develop your marketing plan. You don't just flip a switch and put on some ads. You got to really be intentional with it to see the fruits of that labor.
Otherwise, it is just expensive noise, right?
It's and man, it's expensive. Yeah,
Spending a lot of money and you're like, oh, look at my ad. Like, look at that billboard. It looks nice. Like, but it's might not be meeting any of the, needs in the way that you need to. So,
exactly.
all right. Hot take number 4, last one of this section. I love this one. I have very strong opinions on this one. If your website talks more about you than your patients, you're losing.
Okay. Do you want to start on this one since it's your
Sure. I mean, so I think the issue that I generally have with, it's like, yeah, it's just like us. Here's us, here's us. And whenever we think about being, going to any place, we want to feel understood, right? Like that's why listening works so well in an office or in any setting, right? Is because like you want to be understood. That's a typical human desire. And so, sure, like we need to be able to say, here's what we do and here's how we do it. But when it's just a long list of procedures, right, of like things we can do, it's like, well, we don't even know if the patient wants or needs any of those things. And so, how do you kind of get ahead of that and think of yourself again, more like we talked about earlier, being really empathetic, right? Like you might have this problem. Great. Like, I mean, I think honestly, a lot of this comes from the fact that in dentistry, like we don't even have diagnosis codes, and that's just like, it's not the reason that this happened, but it's certainly like a symptom of it is
Mhm.
that we're just like, all right, cool, cavity. I'm going to fix it with this thing instead
treatment.
of like, what is the diagnosis? What is the thing you have so that I can do the thing that I can do. Right. And we just move on immediately to the thing I can do instead of thinking about what that is. And so, yeah, in general, I think that, this is one of those things where the more that we can put ourselves in the shoes of the patient and kind of talk about them, then we're gonna set ourselves up differently to be perceived by the patient in a better way, right? Of like, wow, even not even from the moment they walk in the office, but from the moment we go to their website, like we feel like this is different.
Yeah. And I think this is really what makes the argument in terms of content on the website, stock
Mm,
versus custom
mm,
storytelling, brand
mm,
storytelling. And that's what, we really advocate for here is like, I always get so sad when nobody has assets or they won't hire us to do their media because I just know they're shooting themselves in the foot tremendously, especially dental groups. Because you have so much turnover
mm,
on associates and they don't want to invest in that stuff, not realizing they really would tremendously benefit from it when it comes to conversion rate optimization on the website. And so when a patient is going to a website, one of the things we really like to do is have patient testimonials on the
mhm,
homepage, patient interviews, so that they can say, that's my problem. I can see myself as this person. I can see myself here in this practice. And even with the photography, we don't just do headshots and team photos and photos of the office. We document the patient experience start to
mm,
finish in photography so
yeah,
that we can display so they don't even have to wonder what is that experience going to be like. They can just go through the website and envision it themselves and put themselves in there and go, yeah, this is where I want to be. So I think that really pertains to, the content that you feature on your website and telling a story so that they again can see themselves within the practice.
totally love it. Great. Okay, let's keep going. Second part, we're going to talk about some hot takes here that are kind of related to marketing channels that actually work and
Okay.
ones that maybe don't, and kind of drain your
Okay.
budget and some of those things. So we've already talked a little bit about Google reviews, but hot take here, and I don't actually know how much I agree with this. I agree with it in some ways. I don't agree with it in other ways. But hot take number 5 here: Google reviews matter more than your really expensive rebrand.
No, don't agree with that necessarily.
Great. Tell me why.
Well, if you have great Google reviews and a weak brand, that's again a waste of money, like a waste. It doesn't matter. They need the affinity.
Yeah.
They have to have something to attach the reputation to. The
Yep.
reputation has to be born of an identity. If the identity is lacking or non existent, the reputation is also non existent. That's just words on a page.
Yep.
So it has to be supported with a really strong brand foundation. Me coming from branding and advertising with really big brands, I am a huge proponent of branding and having a strong identity and storytelling. And so, like, being able to say, we're this and that. And then for the consumer or the patient being able to go online and say, yes, you are, because people verified
Yep.
that. That's just supplemental to your own voice.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
that's
it
my
feels like this is one of those, it's like not an either or, right? It's like you shouldn't have necessarily one or the other.
yes.
But it's, like I think it's one of those things where there's so much focus on Google reviews for so many people, right? Where it's just like, oh, just like drive new
Mhm.
patients, drive. And then again, I think that comes back to just that, like, drive new patients, like we just got it. And so like people end up just chasing Google reviews, right? And that obviously is not built on any sort of foundation, right? Of like, what is the brand promise and who are we? And like, what are you going to feel when you come into this office and all of that stuff, right? Like, it's really hard to get those. So it's like, it's not either or, it's a yes and, right? Like you need to have that foundation of who you are and what that means, and whether you spend a lot on that or a little bit on that, right? And then yes, like Google reviews are a part of like driving local SEO and like potentially helping new patients find you when they're looking for you online.
Right.
But like you can't do one without the other necessarily, or you can't just like do one really well and one really bad and hope it's going to work out.
Yeah, and I think the reviews are an echo of your own voice,
Yeah.
right? Whatever, like when everyone thinks of a brand, they think of a logo. And I always love to say this quote, one of my favorite quotes about branding, and I can't remember who says it, so hopefully I don't get sued for copyright infringement or
Sorry. I don't think anyone's going to anyone's going to sue us for that. So you say whatever you want.
one of my favorite quotes is a brand is the sum of all experiences you have within. So
Mm-hmm.
it's the person who answers the phone, it's the website, it's the doctor and what their chairside manner is like, it's the smell, it's the sounds, it's the lights, it's all of it. And the reviews are just echoing the experience. And so if the brand is lacking and the experience is lacking, well, the reviews don't have a leg to stand on.
Yeah, totally. Cool. All right, we're going to stay on Google reviews for number 6. You ready? Again, this is one of my faves. I have a strong opinion about this. Google reviews on your website are a missed opportunity. Tell a better story. I'll start here because again,
Okay.
this is one of the things that I'm super passionate about. So we see this all the time, right? If Google reviews are a way to drive local SEO, right? So patients go and search like, hey, dentist in San Antonio, right near me, or whatever they're searching to find you, and then you come up, and it's like they're probably going to read the Google reviews on Google, right? Or wherever they're searching. And then they go to your website and it's just like, here's some of the Google reviews that you just read. That's not building more trust, right? That's just like showing the same information, and people get really disinterested when it's the same information. And so, obviously, like this is where I think we see hospitals do this a lot of times, right? Where because they are collecting different patient experience data than just using Google reviews, they can actually put on their website information that is very differentiated from how patients might have found them. So it might be like, hey, they listened to my, like a star rating on they listened to my concerns, or they like explained things to me in a way I could understand or whatever, right? Like go on the Cleveland Clinic website, check it out. It's very like obvious how they do this, and they talk about why they actually have that data and why they show that. And so to me, this just feels like one of those opportunities for dental practices where it's like, hey, don't just go show the same things that you already had, because again, it's duplicate information, and people are looking for you can continue to build trust if you do something different on your website. Go ahead and respond to that.
Yeah, and I think that's really where video can do a lot of that heavy lifting. So it's like maybe we're kind of approaching the same market positioning, but we're doing it in a more personalized way.
Yeah.
Instead of just Google text, now we're engaging with these videos and this storytelling. So I always am going to prefer video testimonials over Google reviews on a website any day of the week. Also, I think it's an opportunity to say, here's how many smiles we've transformed. Here's how many lives we've changed, right? Instead of just regurgitating someone else's words in your own voice, really be confident in saying, here's how we make an impact.
Yeah. So it just feels like there's a great differentiation opportunity here that just so many practices are missing. And this is one of those ones where it's like, yeah, if you're, working with Transcendental, like you're thinking about this differently, right? Like a different kind, we're thinking about this differently. Like it's not just like do more of the same, chase the Google reviews, right? Like there are better and different ways to essentially use your website as, the prime differentiation opportunity once people have already gotten there, right?
Yep.
All right, cool. Hot take number 7. We're crushing. We're like really clipping along here. I love this. This is fun. I know that you care about this one as well, a decent amount here. You can't grow what you don't measure. Manual attribution is killing your ROI. What do you think?
My temperature just went up on this one.
You're like, I'm angry. Ugh. Yeah. Let me dig in.
Matt, these people. See?
You're already angry. Yes, here we go. Calm.
Not a good way to start a sentence. Okay.
These
And
people.
canceled.
This is a podcast about loving people and taking care of people. Come on, Nicole.
Okay. Help me help you, people. All right. Don't ask your patients how they heard about you.
Mm.
They don't know. If Susan next door told them, then they went to Google and looked at the reviews. When they come in, there's a 50-50 on if they say Susan or Google. If you serve them an ad campaign on Meta, paid ad, and you ask them where they heard about you and they say Facebook, you don't know if that cost per acquisition was organic or paid. And there's a very big variance in the cost per acquisition on a social media post and a paid campaign. Okay? If they come in and they say they heard about you from Google, I can give you 5 different touch points on Google that could have been the attribution.
Right.
Google is the world.
It's big.
Like saying, I don't know, what kind of car do you drive? Truck.
Right.
Like, is it a Ford? Chevy? Is it, so sorry, I'm so passionate. I'm really on my soapbox. I tend to do this. You said you were going to keep on uncomfortable. I'm calling you out.
I love it. Your passion is coming through. It's great. It's great. Keep going. Let's go.
Stop basing your business decisions like your patients don't know. And not only that, I am a busy single mom of 3. I've run this company. I got a lot on my plate. Okay. I don't care as much as you care about that answer, and I'm not giving it much mental thought. So a lot of the time when I'm going through the new patient paperwork, I'm like checking random stuff.
Yeah.
The medical history part, I'm the one that does the line from top to bottom, and no, I'm not reading it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Let's do you.
I'm healthy. Just write healthy, huge letters.
They want to get through that paperwork. They don't care, man. If they're self-sourcing, it's not valuable information. I'm sorry. It's not.
Totally. So then how do high performing teams do this? Like when they move to actually track the source of the actual real source of attribution, and what do they learn? Like obviously this is you're deeply passionate about that. Give us answers to those.
So passionate that I built a solution.
Great. Those are the best solutions when it's like you feel the problem so deeply, right?
Yeah. So we now utilize a platform that integrates with every PMS and does feedback loop. Pass through data. So the API then feeds us back the data on, if Joe Smith comes into the practice, we know first touch, second touch, third touch, what campaign, what he searched, how he scheduled by phone or web. When he's scheduled, we know after the initial exam, we know like if he came in on an offer, we know that. After the initial exam, what does the treatment plan look like? What's projected collections for the patient life cycle or treatment plan? And then we track it all the way through actualized. And so, but it's funny because my clients all know I have this and we do this and they still are like, well, everybody says they're coming from Google. I'm like, oh, do they see that? And then I pull up the dashboard and I'm like, why are you still telling me what they're saying?
I don't care.
Science, technology.
Ask a better question, right? And it is one of those things where it's like you only have so much time, right? And so it's like if you're doing it really well, right? Just let that go, let that die, by the wayside of how did you find out about us? We already know that, and now we can actually move to how can we help you? How can we serve you? How can we care for you? Right? Those are much better questions to talk about than how did you find us? Right?
Yep. Yeah.
So,
all right.
How's your blood pressure doing? You okay?
I'm okay.
All right, cool. We got one more question in this section. Maybe this one is not quite as hot button maybe for you. So hot take number 8 here. Most dental social media is noise, but a tiny bit of it can actually drive growth and might be important. Agree, disagree? Is it noise? Is it not? What do you think?
I think it's another, yes. I mean, you can definitely drive growth through social media. It's not going to be the same volume as a paid campaign or SEO, for example, which is a primary driver. It will drive. I think it depends how it's done. It has to be done well. I'll tell you all the reasons why I think social media is important. 1, it impacts SEO heavily. Google wants to see you active on Instagram and Facebook at least 3 times a week on your platforms. 2, again, online reputation. Some people go to Google reviews, some people go to the website, and some people go to Instagram. So it just depends on the audience, the patient avatar, and your brand. And then the content. The success of social media is heavily dependent on the content. I see so many people paying these marketing vendors $1,000 a month to post canned graphics. And it's like, my 6-year-old could do that in Canva, It's like
Yeah. Totally.
you need to be generating content through video reels, patient testimonials, showcasing technology, showcasing expertise, sharing the patient experience, the patient sentiments, really telling the story. And so that when people, it's the same thing if I go to a website and it's all stock
Yeah.
and I'm comfortable and convenient and here are some Google reviews and it's all stock, I'm bouncing. You're not for me, right?
Yeah.
I
Totally.
want the human experience. I want the personal experience. It's the same thing if I go to an Instagram page, right? And it's just every other one is a regurgitated Google review or um, a photo of the cheesy smiling like Macy's family. It's like, how does that matter
Yeah.
to me? I don't know.
Yeah.
And so it's all about the content you're putting out and having a strategy behind it, right? And so a lot of what we do is like, for instance, one of our dental groups was like, we really want to do a very fall sort of heavy brand. And it turned out so beautiful and it's so engaging. And it helped it like stand out in a
Mm.
way that I think would have spoken to that audience, right? And
Totally.
so we really have those dialogues where we're like, okay, tell us, what's going on in the practice? Like, we're not going to pretend to know. I need to know what's important to you right now so that
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
make that manifest externally.
Totally. Yep. Yeah. To me, it feels like another opportunity to build trust, right? It feels like another opportunity for people to understand your voice, right? Certainly, to your point, right? Like, you're like, hey, this is, I see this and it's not for me, right? Like, if
Mhm.
I personally hate the like dancing dental TikTok like crap, like I'm just like, if I saw that, I'd be like, I'm not going to go to that practice. Like, that's not for me, right? Like,
The only
um,
felt that
and
way.
it might be for somebody else, but it's not for me, right? So it's like you really do have to think about like what kind of, how
Yes.
people are going to perceive that, and like what is that? How does that build trust with the kind of patient that you want to have in your practice, right? So
I want to add to this hot take because I have
yeah,
a personal hot take about this. It's like
great.
when practices post the reels that are satirical that make fun of their patients.
Mm.
Like, I'm sorry, again, making people uncomfortable. I'm going to offend you. I'm all about alignment. So if you don't like what I'm saying, I'm just not for you. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
But these practices that do videos of like, yay, last patient of the day canceled.
Mhm.
You are sending the message to your patients that you don't want to see them.
Totally.
Not funny to the patient. It's funny to all your dental friends that you graduated university with. It's funny to your team. I don't find it funny.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's like really tone deaf, in those ways, right? It's again not putting yourself in the shoes of the patient, which, anything that we are putting out there should at least take that into consideration, if not strongly take that into consideration, right? So yeah, 100% agree. Love that. Hot take on top of a hot take inside of a hot take. It's like a double decker taco from Taco
It's
Bell. Right there.
explosive.
There you go. It is. I love it. All right. Last section where marketing breaks down. We're going to have a few hot takes here. We got a bonus hot take because we couldn't only have 10. So we got a bonus hot take. All right, but let's go into this. I know you care deeply about this one as well. Your front desk doesn't need nicer people. They need scripting, training, and support. Tell us.
I think that if most owners and stakeholders, if we're talking about like a dental group, if they heard just one day of phone calls,
Mm.
their skin would be crawling. Most practices do not follow any best practices, any methodology, any scripting. They completely lack empathy. Like one of the biggest triggers for me is when I'm listening to a call and it's an emergency call,
Mm.
or it's a parent with a child who something happened
Yep.
and they call, I'm in so much pain. I don't know what to do. Please, I need help. Okay, let me see what we have. Like, where is oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. We'll get you in as quickly as possible. We're here for you. Where
Yeah.
is that?
Yeah.
Because to me, that's innate. Like, as a human, I'm innately wired to respond that way. I don't need to be trained, but to other people, maybe not. And so you have to account for that with scripting.
Yeah.
So we have scripts for every patient scenario: emergencies and cosmetic, price shoppers, insurance barriers, membership plan questions, you name it, we have it. And I provide it to most of my clients we also do complimentary call conversion consulting. I do it personally
Mm.
because I am so controlling over this process.
Like not letting anyone else do that. That's me.
I'm like, can I please teach Susie how to be nice, please?
Yeah. It is like probably one of the it's like if you can change that, like you can change everything about a practice, right? It's like it does feel like the gateway, right? Obviously, in so many ways. So
To me, it's the make or break. It's literally the end all be all of your business
totally.
is your people, and your people are the first brand impression. So do they embody what you want them to embody, and When I hire people, one of my questions is, "Do you give a damn?" I'm like, "I only hire people with the give a damn factor. So do you?"
Yeah,
And being able to when you and I know it's way different, I think, on the clinical side right now in terms of human resources. I'm so sorry. It's like it's bad.
it's hard.
And it's slim pickings out there. It's really competitive. So I get that, right? Like you're just trying to get people in the roles. But just be really intentional with your hiring. Think about the personal values you want those people to embody. If empathy is one of them, think of some interview questions around empathy in the
Yeah,
interview
totally.
and filter people that way. And then once you get them in, give them what they need to succeed. You don't just put them at the front desk and say, all right, when this rings, pick it up. Because you wouldn't believe the amount of people that I hear, hello? Can you imagine if you called a business institution and they answered hello?
Yeah, you're like, "Wait, did I call the right number? Like,
And you're like,
what
oh,
is this?"
sorry. I'm sorry. Is this, and you'll hear, is this such and such dental
Yeah.
office?
I shouldn't have to be asking, right?
Are they having to ask?
It is really shy, so yeah, like that, that level, and I think that because so many owners, right, like have been clinicians and whatever throughout the course of history, like it's just one of those things that's like this is how we've always done it. We don't know that realm, so we don't think about it. You're like, I just need someone to answer the phone, but you're like, no, I actually really need someone up there to like be the best and most effective communicator in your practice, right? And you're not giving him any tools, and that obviously just doesn't work.
Yep. I walked out of a practice once, not a dental practice, a different kind of medical practice, but I went in there, I was a new patient. And to be fair, as someone who specializes in patient experience, my standards are kind of unattainable.
Very
Sorry,
high. Yes, that's all right.
you actually have a patient. But I walk in, first appointment, and she's like, "Did you do your paperwork?" I said, "Yes." And she opens it and she goes, "Minutes ago." Real judgy. First of all, I don't have a lot of time on my hands. I'm doing my best, okay?
Yeah,
Empathize with me. I'm doing my best. And I was just like, "I don't like the way this feels." And I left.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Love
you
it.
know? And it's like there will be people who won't put up with that condescending tone. And so,
Yeah.
you have to train your front lines like to cater to the patients and show compassion and be kind and create a positive experience because that ultimately is what reflects back on the brand.
Yeah, totally. Well,
Mhm.
you just led us perfectly into hot take number 10, which is your patient experience is your marketing. You're just not measuring it. Agree, disagree. Obviously, I think you're probably going to agree here. Give me I obviously care deeply about this one too, but you share first here.
I strongly agree on that one. Give people something positive to say about you. And again, I think one of the tones of this podcast has really been patient perspective, being
Mhm.
able to see beyond your own perspective,
Yep.
see outside yourself. What is attracting patients to you? What do they value about your practice? And really understanding that in a way that you can craft a story around that that will attract more patients. But to do that, you have to care what they think and who they are. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and I think it's one of those things like because some of these concepts like tend to be or have felt amorphous in some ways, right? For people over the course of time, it's like, how do you measure experience? How do you measure trust, right? Like those are really great questions. And I think a lot of people like historically have just been like, well, we can't do it. And so it's like, then it's just anecdotal. And you're like, well, that's not good enough. Like we actually have really good ways that we can do that, right? And that's where different kind can help, right? In terms of measuring patient experience, that's where different kind can help in terms of measuring patient trust, right? Like we have a tool that measures employee trust, right? As well, so that you can actually keep those employees that are, in your practice or in your group. And so I think because they tend to kind of feel like big, kind of concepts, essentially, people are like, well, I can't measure that, right? And you're like, no, you actually can, or you can at least get at it. You can try, right? And you're going to get something that's much better than just like, well, anecdotally, it feels like this. And you're like, well,
Uh,
that's generally not good enough, right? And to your point, then you can take that and actually put it in patient, like testimonials. You can put it in videos. You can use it on the website. You can use it in like, hey, we actually understand where the gaps are. Now we can close those things, right? Like you just all of a sudden tend to get a much broader picture than just like, well, I think it's this, and you might be close, but you might be very, very wrong.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
I personally have experienced this. Do you see a correlation between owner being open to feedback and
Mm.
recognizing that? Because every time somebody gets a negative review, it's like, but Nicole, here's what really happened. And I'm like,
They were so crazy, and they were, just that patient just was wild.
yeah. And it's like, okay, maybe not every time.
Totally.
Can't be right every time. And I've heard Susie on the phone. Okay.
We understand.
Yeah, you can't be right every time, right? But beyond that, say you are a perfect human being and it still matters what they think. That's still
Totally.
their experience and other people could have that experience. There's still a learning to take from it, right? I don't always agree with every client who comes to me with negative feedback or shares an experience they feel is negative. I don't always agree with it. I will always receive it.
Yep.
I will always hold space for it. I
Yep.
will always acknowledge my accountability or the team's accountability. Typically, as the owner, I take the accountability, but in when things happen, because I want to grow
Yeah.
and I want to learn. And
Yeah.
I think a willingness to grow and get better and be self-aware and let the ego go. Let the ego
Mhm.
go. Just because you're in business or you're an owner doesn't mean you need to have ego. Let it go.
Yep.
Open the mind, open the heart, receive the message. You don't have to agree with it,
Yep.
but you do have to receive it. That's how you get better.
Totally. Yep. Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah. With another hot take inside a hot take here, but I see so many people just will like wanting, like literally asking to put their head in the sand. Like, I don't want
Yeah.
to see it. I don't ever want to know it. Right. I'm putting my head in the sand. And you're like, well, okay, cool. Like, that's fine. Like to your point of, hey, that, there's, kind of selectivity that happens of like, you choose me, I choose you. Right. Like, yeah, it's just like, well, there's just going to be those people and that's what they're going to do. And okay.
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
so yeah, totally. All right, you ready for the last one?
Yeah.
Bonus hot take number 11. We talked about this a little bit before, but I think it's a good one to close on. You can't outspend bad ops. You can't add that, that. If you have bad ops, it's not, you can't just like spend more money on ads and overcome the problem. Tell me what you think about that.
Yep. Missed call rates are still so bad. I've been talking about missed call rates for 15 years now. Nobody's listening to me. Missed call rates.
If we just listened to Nicole more, we would all be a lot better, right?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. So I would say missed call rates are a big thing. And I feel like there was a question I wanted to utilize this soundbite for, but I'm just going to say it now, which is when a patient calls, every single phone call should result in an appointment being offered. I don't
Mm,
care what the conflict is. And probably 10% of calls answered, appointments are offered
mm,
on a good day. It's that simple. Teach them to offer the appointment.
yeah.
Well, I want to verify and I want to talk to my insurance first. Blah, blah. Okay, well, just call us back. They're not going to call back.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and reserve this appointment time for you because we book up pretty quickly and I want to make sure you get the time that's most convenient for you. And then once you're done, talking to your insurance or talking, oh my gosh, don't you love when the husbands are like, hold on, I got to talk to my wife. I got to make sure.
80% of healthcare decisions in the families are made by women, right? So, whether that's good, bad, or indifferent, right? That is the stat. So it is crazy,
Yeah.
but it is true.
Yep. Yep. But not just accepting that, right? Like hearing it. I'm not saying like be argumentative with them,
Yeah.
but still
Yeah.
offer the appointment. Hey, we can
Right.
get you a schedule if we need to move it, no problem. But
Right.
once they have skin in the game, subconsciously, they're committed.
Right.
If you let them off the phone without any skin in the game, they're never calling you back. I
Yeah.
guarantee you.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, something comes up and, they just like other stuff, life happens, right? And all of a sudden you're like, okay, cool. Like it just goes away for maybe they call you back in a year, but that's still like missed opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Okay. So we've gone through a lot. That's a lot of hot takes. Give us kind of one marketing hill you'll die on. One thing that you're like, absolutely, this has to happen every time. Whatever. One thing that you feel like, yes.
I'm going to give you two
Okay.
custom content. So not using stock and tracking and analytics and not letting the patient self-source.
All right, perfect. I love it. And what's one thing that dental teams should stop doing this week? Something they can stop doing tomorrow.
Sending them to other practices. I hear that all the time. We're full for the next 2 weeks. We can't get you in. You should try calling. What?
Yeah, that's
You know
funny.
what I would do if I heard my team do that? Like,
You'd
what?
lose your mind. Your blood pressure would go up. We saw it. It was on question 7, I think, right?
Let me put you on our cancellation list. Let me, I mean,
Yeah.
anything else?
Yep.
Literally.
All right, one more question for you. I'm a big believer in, testing things, getting incrementally better, right? So experimentation, right? Like try things, try small things, try it once, right? What's one thing that you think teams should try in the next month?
Offering the appointment on every call.
Love it.
Watch the appointments go up
Love it.
without
Great.
having a
Okay,
meeting. Mm-hmm.
cool. All right. So we've heard a lot about you and Transcendental and, how you can help folks, right? And Obviously, you have a ton of expertise. If people need this kind of help, how do they reach out to you? How do they get in touch? Tell us a little bit more.
Definitely. You can visit us, transcendentalagency.com, and submit a form for a strategy session. You'll get a one on one with moi. And we'll go over all the things about your market. We'll look at demographics. We will do a full online audit of your practice, and then come up with recommendations and kind of go from there. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Transcendental Agency. We share so much valuable content on our social pages, LinkedIn as well. Just free advice. It'll help you day one. So make sure to follow us. And that's pretty much it.
Love it.
You cannot have my number.
What?
I said they cannot have my cell phone number.
Some people do give their cell phone, so I like you. So you got to know where to go.
Here, that's enough.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Well, since this is the final episode of season 6 of Kind of Different, I will close with the fact that you have a very big secret of kind of what we're developing at Different Kind over the next little bit, and how we're continuing to not only dip our toe, but kind of jump in the pool of like how kind of patient experience data impacts marketing and whatnot. We're super excited to launch that in the new year. Specifically, it has to do with Google reviews. So, we'll kind of roll that out when it's time, but we're super excited to announce it.
Out under the radar right there.
Yeah, I know. I think it's gonna blow people's mind. So I'm pretty excited about it. So this was a perfect kind of end of the season way to kind of think about marketing and how this data, because obviously impacts like clinical operations, right? When we think about that, but I am the biggest believer of tell a better story, tell a better story, tell a better story, right? Because people want to put themselves in the story. People want to, like if it's just data, right? That's not a story, right? Like we have to be good storytellers. We have to be creative. We have to use our imagination to do that kind of stuff. And so this has been a really fun conversation, Nicole. Thanks so much for joining me. Thanks for like jumping into something. I was like, this is kind of a wheels off idea. Who would be great for it? And I was like, I think Nicole is the right person for it. So I think that says something good about you, right? Generally, like that it would be, that you're differentiated enough where,
You
it
know
would
what?
be you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for saying that.
Cool. Well, so grateful for you. So grateful for your time. Thank you to all the listeners who have been with us for 6 whole seasons. If you just joined this season, if you're coming in, Nicole, can I talk about your podcast? Maybe just like, can I like,
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. You already announced your new thing, so might as well pull the veil back on mine. Let's do it.
There you go. Tell us about your new podcast. You got a new podcast coming out.
Yeah, it's coming, you guys. It's coming. I'm launching a podcast. I have a producer that I'm working with, and it's okay. What the name I'm mulling over, Matt, you tell me what you think, is The Call.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe that entrepreneurs and innovators typically have a call placed on their heart with a higher purpose. And I want a collective of soul stories to share around people's why.
Love that.
What
Yeah.
do you think? Is it going to work?
I think it's great. Yeah, the call. I mean, it's like, what is the calling, right? Like, what is the thing that you're working towards, and that kind of bigger, higher purpose, and whatever, right? So, yeah, 100%. And I know so few entrepreneurs who are like, my call is to just go out there and make $1 bajillion, right? Like, it's just generally like we're out there to solve problems and fix things, right? So, I'm excited to listen to it, and yeah. So, if you're listening
for that, you guys.
There you go. If you're listening to this podcast, check out Nicole's podcast when it comes out sometime next year.
Before the end of the year, I think.
Before the end of the year. Cool. So you don't even have to wait that long. Perfect. Before the end of the year. And by the time this podcast released, it'll probably be here already. So check it out. Look for it. And yeah, so exciting things happening. Thank you so much, Nicole. Grateful for you. Appreciate your time.
All right. See you later.